Hi everyone, good afternoon from a very sunny London. I am 𝐘𝐨𝐮 Mukherjee, founder of the Leading Youth, and we are here today with our new episode of Youth Leader of the Month Masterclasses for April, where every month we recognize an exceptional young change maker who is doing wonderful things and inspiring many more young people along the way. The entire aim of this episode is to help you take away nuggets of lessons and inspiration from the journey of a young leader with whom we will be interacting with today. So, today we have with us our Youth Leader of the Month for April. I'm very delighted to welcome Jen Zeng, an exceptional young leader from Budapest. So, Jen is a student of psychological and behavioral science at the London School of Economics and Political Science in London. Jen wears many different hats. So, firstly, she is a global shaper at the World Economic Forum, president of two award winning societies, a full rights scholar, as well as a dancer, and a passionate advocate for women's empowerment. From being the only first year and female nominee for the Outstanding Contribution to Students' Union Award at LSE, to contributing to youth led policy, change, and education forum, Jen exemplifies what it means to lead with purpose, passion, and poise. Join us as we delve into her inspiring journey of multitasking, building skills for life, and leading with heart. So, thank you, Jen, for joining us today. A very warm welcome to the Leading Youths podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you here and can't wait to delve into your journey and what your entire experience has been so far as a young leader yourself. So maybe let's start with going a bit into your journey so far. Tell us a bit about what inspired you to study psychological and behavioral science at LSE, and maybe how did that shape your leadership and entrepreneurship mindset?
Okay. Just as a little introduction, so my name's Jen, and I'm a second year student studying psychological behavior science at the LSE. I am 20 years old right now, and I was born and raised in Budapest, Hungary, lived across 4 different countries, including Hungary, China, Canada, and right now in the UK. And so I would say I'm pretty international in terms of my background. And why I study psychological behavior science is actually a very interesting story. So I actually did a gap year at University of Toronto, where I first of all went to University of Toronto to study psychology because I was on a 100,000 Canadian dollar scholarship. And so, and also I wanted to try something new, like a new environment, and also experience some American culture as well. But I think I didn't really enjoy my lectures over there. So it was, I think I remember first time there was like 1,000 students. So I actually, LSE was kind of my second university that I attended. But I think I made the right choice for my life. Because when you realize, because obviously as a young person, especially asking you to choose a university at the age of like 16 years old,
I know.
it is super difficult.
Of
So I
course.
remember when I was in Toronto, I was still 17, and yeah, 18, I changed my life. I changed my
Amazing.
life to LSE, and I think I made the right choice to come here. And I think it's super important that when you realize that something is not right, it is always possible to change, and it's never too late. And why I wanted to study psychological behavior science is I actually first got in touch with psychology by doing like international baccalaureate diploma, so the IB degree, and I did psychology as my higher level. I think it was mainly because of my psychology teacher, because she is super nice and super good at like explaining the psychological concepts, theories, and I think she just makes class very interesting. And I think that really, and also this, how to understand humans, understand myself, how to understand humans on a social, biological, cognitive, and evolutionary perspective. I think that just interests me so much in that. And why I think how it shaped my leadership and entrepreneur mindset, I think it plays a huge role actually. because in psychology, you not only learn about yourself, but also others. And also, even in leadership, there's so much like leadership psychology and everything like that. So I think in terms of, how do you motivate people through motivation theory? How do you persuade people? How do you, engage people to fully dedicate their time and work into the task completion, and also just understanding how do you even build good relationships. Because in entrepreneurship, it's not only about, how do you lead a team, but also how do you build strong connections with people around you.
Absolutely.
So I think psychology has helped me a lot in terms of understanding humans, and also just offering a different perspective that nobody else actually really understand unless you really explore into it.
Absolutely. And I think you've definitely got that insider's perspective on leadership and entrepreneurship mindset, or even skill sets for that matter, because like you just described, I mean, the subject is such that it helps you understand not just about yourself, but about how do you actually bring a team together, how do you understand another's perspective, how do you develop empathy as a young person, which I think is obviously a very defining trait of whether you are a young leader or a young entrepreneur. Those are things that are very important and necessary to be a good role model as a young person today. So yeah, that's fantastic. And maybe then also, because like I mentioned briefly in the introduction, you have been doing some stellar jobs yourself by leading two award-winning societies at LSE here, whether that's with the entrepreneurship cell or even with human resources. So tell us what motivated you to take on these leadership roles after you arrived here at LSE.
It's very interesting because what I realized is that every single year in January, I became the president of some sort of association or organization. Wow. So, interesting story. So, 2023, I became the president of International Students Association at Victoria College at University of Toronto, which I was the first kind of like first year student who's taking such a big role as the co-president. And at the time, I think we had like around 12 other people electing for the same position. And I was the only first year. Amazing. Like I was a bit scared at the beginning, kind of like an imposter syndrome is like, there's so many other fourth year students, third year students who might seem to be more mature, and, they might just have a more trust in people who are older and also have more experiences with the university. But yeah, I was elected. So amazing. I think that was 2023. 2024, I actually restarted Human Resources Society. So it is a society, I think they started back in like before COVID, but because of COVID, it was paused for 2 years. But then I think it was one of my friend from my course, psychological and behavioral science. She's very interested in HR and really wanted to join the society, but found out that no one is actually leading it. And so I think because she has seen my leadership styles and also the potential to do this together, so she asked me if I wanted to restart and revitalize the society together. So yeah, that was 2024. So it was a lot of paperwork with Students Union, but we've actually, I think just within a year of actually properly working on the society, we have rebuilt the whole team, rebuilt the whole structure. Right now has been impacting, I think people who have attended our events are over like 350 people. So it was like, I think the influence is quite huge, especially given it's a niche industry at LSE. And also, I think another reason why I wanted to build it and start it and also take on the leadership was I realized HR is only offered in LSE as a master's program. So all the graduate students who are interested in the course, they're unable to have a taste of it or even get to know the industry. And especially given that psychology is like super relevant to the degree, I think it was also a gap to kind of bridge this gap between undergrads and postgrads to build a platform where they can communicate, they can also connect and also bond together during of the same interests. So that's about HR. That's 2024 January. Amazing. And 2025 January, I actually took on the road to become the president of Entrepreneur Society. And it has been a really, I don't know, just like the other day, I was just like reflecting back, because I just realized actually just within 2.5 months of coming back to LSE. So we started end of January, and we actually just ended our term yesterday.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's just like looking back, I think 2.5 months, I've achieved so much.
Absolutely.
And I'm
you should
like,
be proud of it.
I'm
That's
like
amazing.
super happy. And also, I think every single project I wanted to do, I've achieved it. And
Lovely.
also, I think the process of like turning your vision into reality is something super satisfying and also super fulfilling in a way, because like something was just like an idea in your mind and you actually turn it into reality, and it has been been super popular or also gained a lot of tractions. So as a recap, with Entrepreneur Society, we have done a lot of different events. Like, for example, my personal projects included Co-Founders Connect, which was actually just an idea that I had back in 2024 November, where we realized that so many students have so many big ideas, but they don't really know who to collaborate with, especially given that everyone at LSE is like more non-technical, whereas the pool that you get access to is very limited if you want a technical founder together. And we're also thinking like, how do students usually find a co-founder? Because a solo founder, according to Forbes 2023, solo founders takes 3.6 times longer to build their startups compared to just a team of 2.
That's true.
So it's like, how do you even find your co-partner? And also finding your co-partner is kind of finding your life partner.
It is true.
Yeah,
you need to have a lot in common, especially in terms of the mindset. Otherwise, it's going to be a big flop.
Exactly. And then it's like you want to be working on the same company, on the same project for like at least like the next 2 to 3 years, right? So it's like you want to make sure that you don't make the wrong decision, because so many startups fail because of co-founder divorce. And so, and I was thinking like, students have the ideas, but they just don't have the people to help them turn it into reality. And also people who could motivate them, could keep them accountable, because there's a lot of delay in student entrepreneurship. So so in this year, February, the week of Valentine's Week, we hosted the Co-Founders Connect, where we brought together university students from 10 universities in the UK at LSE Generate, the entrepreneurial hub at LSE. So the event was great because we divided people into their interests, industry interests, and also kind of like this entrepreneurial stage in terms of, are them just aspiring entrepreneur looking forward to get to know more about the space, or they already have an idea and they're looking for someone, or they already have their company but are looking forward to have a co-founder or hire someone to help them with their team.
So all the different phases of the
A
journey.
lot of different phases. And I think the atmosphere was amazing because you brought together technicals, non-technicals, and creatives together. And I think it's just a really rare opportunity where you would have such a diverse pool of university students to come together. And we also designed like some curated group tasks. For example, we have conversation cards prepared for them to not just only like swapping LinkedIn profiles, but also really to build deeper connection through deeper levels of conversation and to get to know each other on the table. And we also had this we designed this art therapy. It's like a little session where we asked them to use crayons and colors to, for example, some questions include, for example, if you were to imagine your strength as an entrepreneur, what colors would they present?
Oh, amazing. I love that question. Really makes you stop and think, what is that one color you would associate with? A lot like, I guess when I started my own company, I was thinking about what would be the brand color, that's like the first things you start with when you think of the logo, or what your company would be associated with, I guess. So that's a very pertinent question.
Exactly. And then also I think there's another one is like, if your ideal co-founder is an object, what would it be?
Wow, I love that.
So it's like a lot of these like interesting but very insightful questions that I think students can really be creative, imaginative, and being able to get to know each other on a deeper level. So and then so this is Co-Founders Connect, and then I was also hosting this UK Female Presidents Breakfast Club that because I realized all the Entrepreneur Society president or chair is led by a woman, which is something super rare to see in the past, and it's a historical breaking news.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, what I did is like I realized I know many of them, but then a lot of the other student society president might not know each other.
Right.
But I think building this platform is super critical because it would really help us connect as women leader who are taking such important role.
Absolutely.
And also to celebrate our achievements and success, and also being able to take the lead in an industry where it's so underrepresented. Yeah,
that is so true.
And then it gained so much traction actually. Like it was officially posted on LSE LinkedIn and LSE's like social media, Instagram, and also it's featured on Raw News. So yeah, it's quite nice. And then obviously, lastly, we hosted the London Startup Fair, which was actually just happened last Saturday. It was a great success. Like I received so many good comments from like the speakers, the attendees, and the startups, which is like absolutely amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. No, that's incredible, and you should definitely be proud of yourself for the number of achievements you've managed to garner at such a young age. It's truly commendable, and I'm so inspired and charged up just listening to all of it. And yeah, I mean, I attended the London Startup Fair myself last Saturday, and it was such an amazing success, I would say. I think just the group of people who attended, all of the panel sessions and the startups, I think it was a much needed platform for, everyone to come together, especially those who are sort of budding entrepreneurs and thinking of, coming up with their own startups. I think it was a great platform from their perspective as well to come and visit the startups and stalls and get a feel of how it is to actually run your own company as a young person. So yeah, no, good job, and wish you all the best to continue doing more such events, because there's definitely a need, and people are benefiting from it, and that's what we want to know.
It's all about delivering values.
Absolutely, and it's about the impact that we are creating, and how we are impacting others in terms of what are they taking away. And I think at the end of the day, we, at least as young people today, as young leaders, want to set that example that others can follow and take away something good from. It's not so much about creating a follow account in terms of the metric sense of it. It's about adding value, like you said, and creating an impact where people actually benefit from. So yeah, that's amazing. And I guess that's obviously all of the kind of highlight and things that we get to see in terms of the achievements and good parts. But coming to the maybe not so good part of the challenges that are maybe not so much spoken about, especially for young people. And I think you mentioned briefly about women leading, especially as young women. I think we don't so often see examples of young women who are leading from the front in different professions and fields. So I think what we need to talk about is also the challenges that we face as young leaders.
Exactly.
And given that you've had so much of an experience already in terms of leading different projects and societies and events, what have been some of your challenges, do you think, in terms of being a young leader, and how did you overcome them?
I think a lot of times is like they don't trust in you. They don't believe in you. And because you're so young,
exactly,
and you're a woman, sometimes people don't take you seriously. And I think that is an issue. It is a problem.
It is.
That I think a lot of like young people are facing, especially women. And I think leading as a woman, I feel like you just have to be bold.
Yeah.
You have to be brave, and also I think
confident.
You have to be very confident in yourself. And also I think how I was able to kind of like surmount and also overcome all of these challenges is, I think it comes from a lot of it comes from confidence, and a lot of it comes from self-love and self-trust. And I think that is super important, especially I think for anybody, not just women, for anybody.
Yeah.
You need to trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and believe that you have the potential to achieve whatever you want to. And I think that mindset will set you free to do a lot of things. And I think there was one motto that I created for myself is anything is possible and everything is achievable.
Amazing.
So that was something that I think is always in my heart. And I feel like, basically the sky is the limit. And especially I think given so much more resources that you have in universities, the opportunities, the networking platforms, I think it is a time for you to do anything that your mind tells you to. and also any sort of bold ideas. Literally what Co-Founders Connect was literally just an idea that I had, but you're actually able to turn it into reality and turn it into a sustainable initiative in the future. So I think it's like, yeah, anything is possible and everything is achievable. Yeah.
Amazing. I love that energy, and what you said rightly there. I think it's so inspiring, relevant, and important. I think for people to understand that in order to do something, you actually need to stand up, get out, and do it, because nobody's going to come and do it for you. And I think that's also a kind of defining trait for entrepreneurs, where it's the doers who ultimately are successful in the field of entrepreneurship as well. Because many people have lots of wonderful ideas, but it's actually the people who get up and do something about those ideas in terms of executing and implementing them, who then go on to become professionals in any field, but most importantly entrepreneurship. And I think
Exactly.
from your own journey itself, you've had those traits of an entrepreneur right from the start. And I'm sure if that's something you're thinking about in the future, we'll come to it in a bit in terms of your future interests and goals and stuff. I'm sure you're going to phenomenally stand out as a young entrepreneur yourself. But I guess moving the conversation a bit towards skills as well, because right now in our generation, what is becoming really important is for young people to understand how certain, well, I like to call it power skills instead of soft skills, because soft, I think, kind of nullifies the impact that these skills have in your everyday life. And also what we're trying to do through the Leading Youth is to bridge that skills gap between classroom learning and real world skills by connecting young people with kind of young professionals and entrepreneurs from around the world, from different global cities. So maybe from your own journey, Jen, tell me what you think would be the top 3 skills that every young person should know or upskill themselves in.
In terms of power skills, right?
Yes, things like go into the making of a young leader or young entrepreneur, like communication, or things like negotiation, influencing. What would you choose?
I think what got me to where I am today, I think largely is part of my personality. And also I think also some just like natural strength that I found in myself. So I think I was also reflecting about, so I'm actually sometimes really coincidentally and luckily bump into so many big people on a random, like, I don't know, Pilates section. Like, for example, like last April this time, I think I just bumped into 3 famous people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be really lucky
Super
for that.
coincidentally. And then one of them is like almost like 10 million followers on Instagram.
Wow.
And it's like a billionaire family. And then the other one's like Ali Abdaal, the YouTuber, on like YouTube, that I literally was just watching every day.
That's so
And then
cool.
also Econ Plus Doll, which is like kind of like our IB economics like exam savior YouTuber as well. And then it's just like, I think, but then how I was able to actually stand out from the crowd is, I think I'm not afraid to talk to them. And also I think so many people in terms of networking, they tend to idolize people, like idolize these big people. But ultimately you need to understand they're humans too.
Of course.
And we are all humans, and we all go through similar path in life. They have to go through puberty. They have their family, and also like a lot of things that we share in common. And I think it's like when you talk to them, it's like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just treat them as an ordinary and regular person. It's just that their careers is a little bit different than what we do. And I think that's like tip number 1, if I were to give, in terms of like this general concept of networking and building relationship, is like, don't be afraid to reach out, and don't tend to idolize people, because they are just normal people too. Absolutely. And second one is like, don't always like talk about work. Like that was one thing that I think what makes me really stand out in terms of networking. Because my take on networking is not just networking. It is about building relationships and making friends in a way. Because I think a lot of times why I find networking so fun is like, I think I'm in the process of making friends. So I think also, yeah, as I said, it's like talk more about life rather than only work, because usually when people are in a networking session, like they're done for their day. They don't want to like talk about work anymore.
Have the energy to socialize anymore and spend energy.
And also, like I think I live a very eventful and also exciting life, and I think I do so much things that are just so fun. And I think so. For example, like I love extreme sports as well. So I went to skydive, 4,000-meter skydiving when I was 16 years old. Bungee jumping when I was 17 years old. So it's like there's a lot.
That's incredible.
I'm a very multifaceted person. Like not only as a leader, I'm a dancer, and I love to explore life in general. So I think another second tip is like, you know, don't always just talk about work, because that could feel very intentional and also transactional if you're just going up to them talking about work. It's like, do you have any internship opportunities and stuff like that? It's like people don't even understand you as a person. And so, yeah, that's like second one is like talk about things that are fun, because everybody likes to have fun.
Exactly.
And I think,
and that's easier to break the ice as well, right? Like if you don't know what to talk about, just talk about like the weather, like the smallest talk possible to break
especially
the ice.
if you're in the UK, yes.
Exactly. That's the most favorite topic for everyone here.
I think like third tip I would give is like how I network is like I don't force any relationships. I let them come very naturally and go very naturally. If they go, you know, you let it go. If they come, you just embrace them. And I think it's like also how I network or how I get to know people is, I don't know, I think it's like if your energy match, you will just match.
Exactly.
And
like, you know it instantly.
Yeah, you won't like there's no way that you can like really, I don't want to force anything. It's like I love to have things coming naturally. And also I think what I care a lot more is like usually when I go network, I don't idolize who them are, because a lot of things you see could be real and could be fake. And so what I really care about is you in the present and you as a person, who you really are. And I think I want to get to know about you. Disregard of all the titles. So I think that's how I was able to build very authentic, very strong, and also very good relationships with people. And I think also when you become really good friends, you know, you offer opportunities to your friends, and also it's like, you know, I thought that person would be great for this. You know, let me just shoot this person a message. And you will be the same, because the people who you will vibe with are also really great people as well. I think it's like, 3 tips is like, first of all, don't idolize people. Don't be afraid to reach out. Second of all is like, don't always talk about work. Talk about things that are shared by common, you know, as a human, and talk about fun things. Third of all is like, get to know about the person as a person. See them as a friend rather than just a network. So these are kind of like soft skill, I would say power skills, like techniques or advice that I would give to young people.
Amazing. I love all of that, because these are like, you know, real authentic tips for networking. And I know that that's something most young people struggle with, because they just don't know where to start or how to start. So I think everything you mentioned there is basically a crash course for anyone who is, you know, struggling or is feeling shy about reaching out to someone, you know, you're influenced by or inspired by. So I think, those are some really solid points there. And I think, like you mentioned, Jen, you know, you are an adventurous person yourself. You know, you're heading so many societies. You're managing your academics, which is pretty intense anyway. And then you're a dancer, and you know, you sign up for adventurous sports and stuff. This is all highly commendable. And because, you know, what I also realized from a lot of people, especially from Gen Z these days, is that they fail to identify what even their passion or interest lies in. And then B, for the people who know, like, let's say I'm passionate about cooking, but I also have to manage my academics, and then I have to do extracurriculars. So multitasking becomes an issue for a lot of people. And I think that's something you have been able to beautifully manage in your journey. So what are your tips for those who are, you know, struggling to multitask or manage their time? How do you go about time management?
Well, guys, I don't want to lie. It is hard. It is very hard. Like, especially even with dance, it's like, it actually requires a lot of hours, because we were preparing, for example, this winter term, we were preparing for a huge showcase, which I think we had this year at Peacock Theatre. we had over 750 people coming to watch. So it's like a huge showcase.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think as a dancer, even as a dancer's perspective, I think there's a lot to manage. But then also like on top of like 2 presidents and 2 organizations that you're leading, your full-time academics as an LSE student, it's not easy. You still want to get your good degree. And also at the same time, you are doing so much like side projects that you're managing. You need to manage your relationship with your friends, with your family, and with people that you want to get in touch with. And also at the same time, like you have to take care of yourself, which I think a lot of people forget to. And you need to take a rest.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like how I was able to manage so many different areas of my life and also being able to do well is my secret weapon is to sleep.
Okay, that's very interesting. Maintain your sleep routine.
Yeah, I think my secret weapon is like I am a very energetic person.
Yeah.
I think if you ask my friends, like I'm usually during the daytime, I'm very energetic. That is all because you need to sleep well.
Yeah.
If you, for example, if I were like short in sleep, I feel like I wouldn't function as energetic as I would normally do. And I think sleeping is so important. I think so many young people, they forget about the importance of it. And I think sleeping helps me to recover from the day before. Even with like sleeping, like when I dance, my muscles need to recover too.
Of course, you need.
So it's like, I think sleep is one of the top tips that I would give. So manage your routine and take care of yourself and make sure that you sleep well so that you'll be able to fully maximize what you will be able to do the next day. I think second one is more of like all activities and all things that I do in life, I follow this joy principle. So what do I mean by joy principle? So this actually comes from like, so my Chinese name is Shu Yue, which means like comfortable and joyful. Comfortable and joyful life.
Yeah.
And I think joy has been such an important concept in my life. And I think everything that I choose to do is because I enjoy it. And I think it was this joy and this, like, because you actually enjoy what you're doing, so it doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even with like entrepreneurship is because I am very passionate about it. With HR, it's like I'm very interested in it.
Yeah.
And with dance, it's like I genuinely just love it, love the energy, love that I can see myself growing and improving consistently every single day. And also the community that you have access to is wonderful. I think something magical about dance is like, I think it's very supportive because even if you don't have to know all the choreos just in like, I don't know, 30 minutes of teaching. If you're still confident to present yourself in front of everyone, people will always cheer for you.
Yeah.
And so I think, on top of academics, like there's also a lot to do, but I think it's because I enjoy psychology. So when I study, it doesn't really feel like, oh, like it's time to do like a lot of like boring stuff, but it's actually I am interested in it. So I think about what you're really passionate about and choose what you want to do selectively. I think this is like super important, and make sure that you actually enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, it's never going to last long.
That is so important. And I think especially your unique tip there was to, have your basics right. Like you can't compromise on your basics, like having a routine or your sleep schedule, because this is what helps us function as humans. So if we mess up with the basics of what defines us as human beings, your food, your sleep, then obviously it's going to affect the 10 other things that you're trying to focus on during the day. So I think we obviously sometimes, especially as young people, I think there's a lot of night owls, and people are always trying to, stay awake through the night and do different things and complete assignments. But again, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm sure people try to choose between being an early bird and a night owl and things like that. But I think the bottom line is, whenever sleep works for you, do sleep. You need to have your regular hours of sleep, and only then can you be as productive and functional for the rest of the day to achieve whatever it is that you're working towards achieving. But
also, like, just a little reminder for all the women. I think a lot of the sleep research that has been done in the past, they're all tested on men. So the traditional 8 hours works very different for women.
Yeah.
Women actually need longer sleep than
I have
8
read
hours.
this actually. That's very true.
So I think I would suggest somewhere between 8 to 9 hours. For example, last night I think I slept around 8 hours 43 minutes. So it was.
Do you keep track of your sleep routine?
I have a Fitbit, so it's
amazing.
It connects to an app that tracks like my personal, sleep schedule, my calorie burns through workouts, how many steps I walked, and also like my stress level, and also my menstrual cycle, my weights, and like stuff like anything health related.
Yeah.
So I think health is something that I really care about as well, because health is the basis to everything you do. Exactly. If you don't have health, when you are actually sick, you only have one problem.
That's the thing, and everything else falls off. Because then, even if you're trying to multitask and be efficient, it's just not going to work if your health is not with you.
So I think, take care of yourself, sleep well, eat well, and exercise when you need to. For example, like you don't have to probably go to like a workout session in a gym if that's not your cup of tea. Choose like an activity like dance. It still burns so much calories and it's very intense training, but then at the same time, it's so much more joyful. You see yourself growing in your texture, skills, and everything in dance. And you met so many incredible people through dance as well. So I think take care of yourself physically and mentally. Believe in everything. Believe that you can achieve everything and choose things that you actually really enjoy.
Love that, Jen. I think this is just so inspiring and motivating. And I'm sure a lot of young people tuning into this conversation are going to go away feeling inspired and charged up with everything that you've mentioned today. So we're going to go towards the last part of our podcast today, ending it with a quick rapid fire round of questions. Very simple, just kind of chill, conversational, to get to know you as a person. Like you said, I think it's important to have some fun element to the conversation as well, coming out of the technical and serious bits. So we're going to dive straight into it, if you're ready. Perfect.
Let's go.
So the first question is, one book or podcast that changed your perspective on leadership as a young person?
I think one book that I would really suggest is, I think, Good Vibes, Good Life. This book by, I think his name is 𝐉𝐞𝐽, has changed my life. I think I started reading it in 2023 and while still in Toronto. And I think it just taught me so much about how to love myself, how to respect myself, and also like everything self-love. And I think self-love is the basis for you to believe in yourself, to trust in yourself, to never have self-doubt. And I think that is important, especially as a woman and young leader as well. And podcasts, I think there's this podcast that I would recommend, The Psychology of Your 20s. I think that's very interesting. Like it breaks down so many issues and things that we might experience in our 20s from a psychological point of view, and backed up with research evidence to support. And I think that is really interesting as well. I listen to it morning as well. Yeah, when I'm doing my makeup and glam. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's the best time to multitask again, doing several things at the same time. Love it. And who would you say is your biggest role model in leadership or entrepreneurship?
Biggest role model. I think there's this Olympic athlete that I really like. She's a free skier, and she won 3 medals at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics.
Amazing.
And I think her name's 𝐼 𝐿, and she was born in San Francisco, grew up in America, and half Chinese, half American. And I think I just see a lot of similarities between me and her. But obviously we do very different things. But I think the mindset is very similar. And I think what she does is very inspiring as well. She's always kind of multitasking as well. Yeah. But then in a good way, pushing herself and to test our limit as humans. And even in sports and everything else. She is also a model. And also she was actually very similar to my age, only a year older than I am. Oh. So yeah, very inspiring. And yeah, I would say she is one of the biggest models.
Oh, lovely. That sounds really inspiring. And if you could master one new skill instantly, what would it be?
I want to be a good cook.
Oh, cooking. Yeah, that's something that...
So it's I can cook, but it's just that I want to learn how to delicately cook. Because I think I realize I'm very good at making food looking good and also tasting good.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much like cuisine that I
Of course.
haven't really tried, cooking.
It's a whole world there.
It's a whole world. And also
Yeah.
I just think that having good food in life, it's so important. And
uplifts your mood and makes you more productive.
Exactly. And I want to be able to make them myself too, so that I don't have to beg people if I want food. So it's like, I think a lot of times, like, having those skills yourself is super important in terms of anything. And yeah, cooking is like delicate, like, the Michelin style cooking is something, the skills that I would love to have instantly. Yeah.
Artistic and creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Very luxurious. Love that. Okay, I think you've already mentioned the quote, a very beautiful quote earlier on in the podcast. We're going to skip the quote you
I can actually add on another one.
You want to? Go for it. Please
another one that I think I put this on my bio, a lot of my social media page, is like, shine like a proton positively.
Oh,
and
I love
think
that. That's so nice.
This quote was gifted by my favorite like high school teacher. She is Canadian as well. She teaches chemistry for me in IB. And at the end of I remember my whole diploma program, I think I got like personal letters from 5 teachers, and but it's like there's 6 subjects in general, so but then it's like you have to be awarded to be receiving the award, so that you get a personal letter from the teacher. I got an award for IB chemistry, and I remember that was a quote that she wrote in the letter, which I thought it's related to chemistry, and I think it resembles me super well. Shine like a proton positively. That is my motto to live my life, is to be positive, to be optimistic, and also optimistic views will bring you magic in life.
I couldn't agree more. Like, this is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, thanks to your teacher, because she definitely, saw that sparkling star in you, and you've, lived it to the T. And obviously, there's so much more that I'm sure you're going to shine as. But yeah, such a beautiful quote to take away. I love that. And I guess last rapid fire question would be, if you had to describe your leadership style in 3 words, what would that be?
Equality, empathy, and empowering. Yeah.
Amazing.
So 3 E's actually.
Yeah.
Equity, as in, like, when I lead, I don't put any hierarchy. Even though I'm the leader, I'm the president of like a lot of societies. Every single time we have meetings, we're just friends. I want everyone to feel comfortable, to give them the psychological safety for them to contribute whatever that's in their mind. Because if you create a very heavy, also like deep, atmosphere,
like a strict atmosphere,
people won't be willing and open to share their thoughts. And sometimes these feedbacks are super critical to help you move to the next step. I think second one is empathy. It's like you need to be compassionate. And I think empathy as a leader is a super critical skill.
100%.
You need to understand the person from an emotional level. And I think empowering it, as in, a lot of times I'm the leader, I'm the president. And so there's so many more juniors under the organizations I'm leading. Empowering, as in, I want to help them to fulfill their potentials. And I want to empower them to be able to do what they want, and also being able to grow from the journey together in the society. So yeah, I think to summarize is like equality, empathy, and empowerment. Yeah.
Amazing. That is, I think, also all of the defining traits of a young leader. The young leader is someone who needs to have those empathetic skills to be able to connect with their audience, because it's not about, you are not standing out as a leader. You are part of the group yourself. So like you said, you need to create that safe space, and that's where equity comes into place. And then overall, obviously, as the leader, you're trying to empower everyone to bring their full selves to the work or goal towards which you all are working. So yeah, that absolutely captures everything about leadership, captured in 3 words. That's great. And one last piece of advice for young people from your side who want to step up as leaders and change makers today.
I think don't feel small. Never underestimate your own potential.
Yeah.
And I think believe in yourself and don't be afraid to try. and don't be afraid to talk to people, and don't be afraid to just give it out a try and to do the things that you actually are interested in. Try as many things as you want. So I think it's like having this again, self-trust, self-love. These are secret sauce to unlock success for you as a successful leader. And I think you need to believe in yourself and do not doubt in yourself. You have the potential to achieve anything you want. Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for your time today in joining us. I think it's been an amazing discussion here. I'm feeling so inspired and charged up, going through your journey, listening to everything that you shared today. And I'm sure this is going to be so relevant and useful for everyone who is listening to this as well. Because, yeah, I think as young people, we need to learn from each other. We have to be inspired from each other. And this is not a competition. This is about understanding each other's journey and, developing that empathy so that we can all be leaders in our own respective fields, and hopefully inspire the next generation who is still growing up, learning, is confused, looking for guidance. And this is why we are doing this conversation, so that we can all, learn from each other. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's been so inspiring, and wish you all the best with all the amazing multitasking that you're doing, and I'm sure we'll continue to do.
Smart multitasking. Though.
Absolutely. That is important, because you need to make the most effective use of time. Time is a scarce resource for everyone, everywhere, so we need to be wise with it. And then, yeah, wish you all the best with your ongoing journey at LSE as well. I think you're going to start with third year in September this year, right?
Yes.
And what are your plans after that? After graduation, what are your goals?
Interesting. So I'm interning at this recruitment firm, Robert Walters, at in London, its office in Covent Garden, and I think I wanted to see what it feels like, because I feel like that is a career that I think it's the most relevant to my degree as of right now. But obviously, I think for me in the long term is definitely entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is always in my heart, and also I think it's definitely a long-term sustainable career that I want to pursue. But short term, I just wanted to try, because I've been leading HR Society, but I never actually worked in it. So it's I think I want to have some more practical experience, and given that you already have the opportunity to intern at I think a top 10 headhunting firm in the UK, so I just wanted to have a try. And also I'm very interested in branding as well. Branding, and so I'm also planning to do a little side project to see with probably a branding firm in the UK, to just have a taste and see how I like it, how I enjoy it. And yeah, that's kind of my kind of next step is to see, depends on if I enjoy the internship. If I enjoy the internship, I'll see if I can turn into a full-time offer, so that in third year, while I'm applying to masters, even if masters are not very well, I still have a backup plan in case. But it really depends on how I enjoy it. You see, joy is
of course, it's the core to everything.
Exactly. You're here to enjoy life, guys.
Of course, that's the most important thing. But love that thought, love the way you are planning it in your head, you have backups, and that's such a mature way of thinking at such a young age. And also love the energy and the spirit, that the fact that you're open to learning, the fact that you're open to explore, experiment, and then make an informed decision as to what is really sticking with you and what is it that you want to do. And I think that's, again, a very useful tip for a lot of young people, that if you're confused, if you're not sure about which career path or what should be your next step, just be open to learning, be open to experimenting, because nobody can set out the right thing to do for yourself, and it's your unique journey. And you shouldn't also, you can be inspired by other young leaders or role models, but it's ultimately a call that you should take for your own personal life, instead of blindly copying someone. So I think that's a really good way of doing it. Just be open to experimenting, and then see what sticks with you and go for it.
I think, also my path, I think it's slightly quite different than what everyone else in LSE is doing, because there's this whole huge consulting and finance culture where people, where their strength are actually not in finance or consulting, but they still choose to do it because everyone else is doing it, and they just don't have an idea on what to do. And so I believe that everyone has their own strength, and you're here to live your own life, to create
100%.
your own path. And I think another motto that I think I created for myself is like, when you're confused about what to do, or you are influenced by like peer pressure or external influence of like everyone going into the same industry, is you ultimately you shine the brightest by being yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're always going to be stuck in the crowd and stuck in the competition and trying to find a way for yourself.
If everyone has the same CV, same
Exactly.
experiences, what makes you stand out?
Absolutely. Which is where, the conversations like this are so powerful, because you need to find out how do you stand out of the crowd, like you said. And that's going to be your defining skill or leadership quality that helps you shine in the market. But yeah, thank you so much, Jen. This has been absolutely wonderful. And yeah, leaving on a high note, and wishing everyone a very pleasant evening or rest of your day wherever you are. And
feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or anywhere else if you want, and feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Please do connect with Jen. I'm sure she would be happy to answer any questions you guys have. And follow us for more on the Leading Youth as well, as we keep coming up with many more such inspiring conversations with young leaders from around the world. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Bye.